I felt I needed to do something about Syria. Maybe the first impulse was the fact that I am half Syrian and I'm very little in touch with my heritage due to the fact that my father didn't raise us as Syrians or Arabs in any way. We didn't learn the language. I mean, there was no contact to the country or its culture or anything apart from food. The only thing my father did was cook, and he was a very good cook, so food was ever present. And so that was my connection, which was a strong one. And then with the whole revolution happening, I didn't get involved, but I met a lot of people and I spoke to activists and Syrians, and all of a sudden I became very moved, I mean highly moved by this new connection, which was other than the food connection. And I thought I need to do something about this. So I knew one thing, I knew I had to, apart from all the interviews I made in Paris with activists and people I met, I knew I had to go on the terrain and speak to people. I wanted to speak to refugees and hear what they have to say and travel. So one of my trips took me to London, and really kind of by a total coincidence of always wanting to meet, I've always wanted to meet David Lann, and I was fortunate enough to meet him, and you know, I just asked him, by the way, do you know anybody who could direct this? I was in the very fortunate position, I thought, to be an actor looking for a director, which happens maybe once in a lifetime. So it was a kind of a perk. David said, yes, I know exactly whom you could work with. And he spoke about Amir Nizar and gave me his plays to read. And I read them and loved them and thought, okay, this is exactly the right person. I'm sure it's not going to work because he'll be busy. And then we talked, and I mean, we Skyped, we emailed, we Skyped. So, and we did that for several months. We met in this kind of no man's land in this strange Irbid Plaza hotel, Irbid is very close to the Syrian and Israeli border. So Amir came over from Israel, Palestine, and that's where we met, and that's where we interviewed more people, and we just spent 3 days non-stop seeing, talking to people, being sucked into the whole refugee situation. It was extremely moving, extremely touching, extremely joyful too. And with all this material that I'd gathered and we'd gathered together and I was filming, we then went to Haifa, and I spent a month with him in Haifa, where Amir lives, and we wrote, improvised, worked, talked, and after a month Amir had written a play. And then I think the Young Vic being a very, very special place, just because it is so vibrant and there's so much going on, and you feel there's so much going on stage, but then there's so much going on outside as well, and people are meeting and talking, and you know, it's a meeting play. It's important for theatre to be able to meet people and exchange and to see the audience afterwards. To have that, otherwise, you know, you do your show and there's the audience, and you can never mix and mingle, and that's important. So I think it's a place for encounters around themes, encounters in connection with artists, and it really is a place that talks about, you know, the world today. So I mean, it's a dream. It's true.